All right, guys, so we're going to go ahead and take a look at polynomials intro today. It's going to be a super easy assignment, just a few key things we got to talk about, and that's actually our objective, is to identify the key features of polynomials. So what is a polynomial? What's a monomial, binomial, those types of things? What's a leading coefficient, degree, leading term, those kind of things as well. So I know you've seen all this before, so it should be pretty easy for you. So our end goal, though, if you think about it, if you look up here, is multiplying monomials by polynomials. So what is a monomial? And from there, we're going to multiply and all of that, and we'll do that on a different day. So for this one, let's take a look at this. Here's what a polynomial is, something of this form. Now this looks crazy. You have a sub n times x to the n plus dot plus a sub 2 x to the 2 plus a sub 1 and so on. So what does this really mean? You've seen polynomials before, so don't freak out about this. But a couple examples of polynomials would be like 2x to the third minus 4x squared plus 7x minus 3. That would be a polynomial. That would actually be standard form. That's what this is written in right here, is standard form, and we're going to be talking about standard form right now, which is when the terms are ordered in highest degree to lowest degree. So if you look at this, 3, 2, and technically this doesn't have a power, so it's a 1. And then last we have x to the 0. So you could see that the powers are descending there. That's what makes it standard form. What if you just say we have like 5x squared minus 2 plus x to the 7? What's our highest power? So in the previous one, right here's our highest power, it's 3. It was nice because it's written in the front. Now the highest power may not always be written in the front. Like this one, look at the 7 is actually the highest power. Now realize this is not in standard form because the 7 is the highest power. The highest power should go first, and it should go in descending order, because in order to be standard form, it's going to go from highest degree to lowest degree. However, even though it's not standard form, this is still a polynomial, and this would be the highest degree. So we would call this the degree of the polynomial. It would be 7. Let's talk about the leading coefficient. The leading coefficient is the number. Well, first let's talk about the leading term. The leading term would be that entire term. So like right here, this would be the leading term. Right here, the plus x to the 7, that would be the leading term. You know, what if it was a minus? Then that minus would be part of that leading term. So it's that entire term, everything's separated. The terms are separated by plus signs, so everything here that's circled would be part of that term. So that would be the leading term, whichever one has the highest power. So looking at the number in front of it would be our leading coefficient. So in this case, accidentally had it highlighted already, but a sub n, that's the number in front. So this 2 would be your leading coefficient. What about over here? There is no number in front of this x to the 7, so by default that would be a 1. And so our leading coefficient there would actually be negative 1. If there's a negative in front of it, the negative is part of that leading coefficient. Now let's talk about standard form. So we've already seen standard form. It's descending power. So you have 5x squared plus 3x. Even though it doesn't have a constant term, speaking of which, right now we might as well cover this right here is called the constant term. So that is the constant term. Excuse my handwriting. So that's the constant term. It doesn't have to have it. If it's not one there, it's automatically by default 0. But that's standard form, because if you look at the power, it's going 2, 1, 0 for the power. Let's look at another one in standard form. X squared, or no, let's go x to the third minus 7. Is that in descending power? Yes, because 3 is the highest power. And then remember, if this doesn't have a power, it's technically x to the 0, right? And so everything in between, they're just not writing it there, but it'd be like 0x squared, 0x, and then minus 7x to the 0. You would see 3, 2, 1, and then 0. You would see the powers there. However, it's just written like this. So that would be in standard form. 2x plus 5. That's a polynomial in standard form. Really basic. What are some non-examples? Well, that's if it's out of order. So like 2x to the third minus 7x to the fourth plus 3. This right there is greater than the 3. It should be descending powers. So we just have to be careful there. I would go into if there's x and y's, but I don't think we have to deal with that in this assignment because things get a little bit more complicated with that. You then have to pick a variable and go with that one from descending powers. Let's take a look at these examples over real quick. So we have pick the expression that matches this description, a third degree binomial with a constant term of 8. So let's talk about this. Monomial means you have one term. Binomial, think like bicycle, 2 tires, means that there's 2 terms. Trinomial, tricycle, means there's going to be 3 terms. So if we have a third degree binomial, we're looking for a power of 3. Well, that happens here, that happens here, and that happens here. Now we're looking for a binomial. So this one has 2 terms, and the other 2 don't have 2 terms. So our answer is B. Let's look at this example. Which ones are in standard form? Choose all that apply. So notice this one goes from the highest power, and it goes a descending power. So yes, this one's actually standard form. A little confusing on the way it looks, but that's standard form. It doesn't like have t to the 4th and then t to the 5th right afterwards. That would not be standard form. It's descending powers. This is technically t to the 0. So it's just dropping in powers. That's fine. Right here, letter B, 2, 1, 0. That's fine as well. Checks off. This one checks off as well. This is t to the 1, and then this would be t to the 0. Descending powers. Low powers, but descending powers. So actually all 3 of these will be in standard form. So that's just an introduction to polynomials.